Welcome, my friends of the interwebs. Today, I have a special treat for you. I am interviewing Anthony Crociata, screenwriter, Hollywood guy. I know I have a lot of subscribers that want to, or at least interested in making movies, being filmmakers. And since I've got a connection here, I thought I'd throw it at you. So, Anthony, how you doing today?
Pretty good.
Awesome. Tell us about how you got into screenwriting.
Well, I've always been a writer. I started writing back in high school, and didn't know that screenwriting was actually a thing. Like most people, you watch TV, you watch the movies, you don't think somebody actually does that for a living.
Right.
In the late 80s, I moved out to LA, and I was like the rest of the people in my family. I was a carpenter. My dad was a carpenter, grandfather was a carpenter, uncles are carpenters, brothers are carpenters. I went out there and I started as a carpenter. I got hurt.
Kind of like Harrison Ford. Wasn't he a carpenter?
Yeah. He got hired, actually, because he was working on George Lucas's offices. But I got hurt. Ended up on disability for a little while. Herniated disc in my back. And I was kind of laid up. And so I started looking into it, And back then, Google was called a library.
Right.
And I went to the library and I got out some books on screenwriting and what it was about and everything else. And just basically started experimenting and writing and hanging out at the Starbucks and met some other writers, and before I knew it, I ended up making like 5 indie films with them, and
wow,
met this guy. We wrote this. Two friends of mine and I wrote this sort of spoof on Frankenstein called Blackenstein. It was during that whole what were those movies? Like Goldmember and all those spoof in the 70s stuff.
Yeah,
70s things. And I met this guy, Mike Sheehy, who was he was a producer at the time. And
right.
He optioned our screenplay. And he ended up becoming the head of the literary department for Stone Manor's Talent Literary Agency. And basically, he liked my writing, and I ended up doing what's called punch-ups.
Okay.
Basically, it's uncredited writing, but basically they hand you a screenplay and they go, we really like it, the idea's there, everything's there, and they give it to me, and I would basically punch up the dialogue, just make the dialogue more natural, because most writers, one of the first mistakes they make, especially with screenplays, is all the people sound like typewriters talking, and they all sound the same. And
right.
I had that ability to put different rhythms to it, so I used to make money doing that, and after a while, started moving up a little bit, and
right.
then I ended up moving back here.
So now, when you were in LA, were you in film school at all, or
no?
No. Okay.
Did not go to film
So you were
school.
going to the film school of hard knocks.
I went through the film school of make a film.
Make a film.
Yeah.
Right.
See, and this is my personal opinion. If you want to make a film, take that money that you would spend on film school.
Right.
Just an example, UCLA, which is a state school.
Yeah.
Their film program, first you have to do 2 years of regular studies before you even get accepted into the film program.
Right.
And then it's $26,000 a semester.
Wow.
So take that money. You can take $26,000 and go make yourself a film, get it into some festivals, and
right.
do a lot better for yourself.
Right. No.
Learn everything.
Yeah. Absolutely. So now you've been doing work as a polisher. Can you tell my subs what that is?
Yeah. Basically, like I said, the story's there, the concept is there, the whole screenplay will be written out. They might want you to change a few elements, or like I said, punch up the dialogue, make it sound a little more realistic, or basically you're not really rewriting it, which is why you get no credit. To me, which is good, because then the original writer gets to keep the credit.
Right.
That's where the real money is.
Right.
But yeah, basically that's it. I mean, I would do a week's worth of work and make $1,500, $2,000.
Right.
Depending.
Right.
It wasn't steady, but
yeah, you're not gonna get rich polishing, but you're gonna pay your
right.
bills.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess that's in the end, that's all that matters. So, what's the number 1 bit of advice that you can give anybody who wants to be a screenwriter?
Right.
Just right.
Just right.
Okay. Now, once you've created your first script, what then?
Yeah, it's a tough one. First of all, you better make sure it's good.
Yeah. Right. Well, I think every writer thinks this stuff is good.
Yeah, we do. But we're also an insecure bunch, so we also think it's crap. Yeah, that's hard because agents don't want to take you on unless you're making money.
Right.
And you can't really make money unless you get an agent.
Right. Yeah, I know that's kind of the catch-22 in the industry. And I found this out, by the way, when I got the deal with the television show. Trying to get an agent before you actually have a deal inked is impossible.
Yeah. Well, unless you know people.
That's right.
Connections you have.
That's right.
Like you have like a paid writer that can give you a reference, or studio executive that
Right. So what about these online kind of like gathering places, like for example TriggerStreet.com that does a lot of screenwriting stuff? What do you think about those?
Oh, some of those are pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, Trigger Street, actually, I think they have, I've never done it, but I know I've seen it, and they have like a competition. And
Right.
Some of the stuff on Trigger Street actually gets produced through Trigger Street Films.
Yeah, yeah.
A lot of times they won't, like they're one of those that don't accept what's called a query, which when you're done with your screenplay, if you think it's good enough, and you better make damn sure it is, there are production companies out there that are looking for screenplays. They're all looking for screenplays. They
Right.
all want that next one to come in to be like, oh my, this is solid gold, and
Right.
we want to make this movie because we'll make millions of dollars. At the same time, it's tough because if you don't have an agent or a manager, they're not going to read your stuff because you haven't been vetted.
Right.
Basically,
Right.
because everybody's a screenwriter. The mailman's
Sure.
a screenwriter.
Sure.
Your neighbor's a screenwriter. The cashier at the drugstore's a
Right.
screenwriter. You
Right.
know what I mean? Your
Sure.
dog is writing a
Yeah.
screenplay. You know what I mean?
Probably better than most everybody else's.
I mean, but there are a few, like, you have to put together a good log line. And a log line is basically like in the TV guide where it has that little blurb about what the show's about.
Right.
It's basically that, and and then a small description, and you send an email out. Don't send your material out.
Right.
Send that and ask if they'd be willing to read it. And you'd be surprised. A lot of these production companies will be read it, even though you don't have a manager, if it sounds good enough.
If you got a hook, which is so now, do you think it's better for a screenwriter, say a new young screenwriter, to come up with an original concept, or maybe to take maybe a book, New York Times bestseller book, and do an adaptation?
Don't do an adaptation.
No.
No, I mean you could.
Yeah.
But you're not going to make any money off of it.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? You can use as a writing sample.
Right.
To query managers and agents, and your best bet is to query managers before you query an agent, because they're more willing to take on new writers than an agent will. Because the job of an agent is to get you work.
Right.
And the job of a manager is to make sure that work is suited for your career path.
Right.
They take more of a personal interest. They'll help you develop your scripts if you have a problem. A lot of managers worry their development executives, or maybe possibly writers. Like my manager was actually a writer before he got into managing, writers.
Okay.
Original material is so much better.
Right. Okay. So that's good advice.
And
of course, some people just, originality isn't something that comes easy.
Yeah, but those people tend not to want to be writers.
Right. Right. No, I hear you. So now I've talked you into putting a couple of your scripts onto Kindle.
Yes.
And and I know I had to do a little arm twisting, but you agreed to do it because I really did want some of my subscribers that were interested in filmmaking to see what an actual film script looked like. I
put them up because they're not film scripts, they're television.
Okay. Now the one's a TV pilot.
Yeah, they're both actually TV pilots.
Okay, they're both TV pilots.
One's a half-hour pilot, the other one's an hour.
Now, what's the difference between a TV script and a movie script?
One's for television, one's for theater.
Okay, there you go. The
biggest difference is actually is time. Like if you're writing like a half-hour sitcom, or what mine is a half-hour. Let this car go.
No, go ahead. What the hell?
Mine is it's a new term everybody uses now called dramedy.
Dramedy.
Like Californication or Weeds or The Big C. Those type of shows. It's for premium cable. So mine, I could get away with a lot more, and I didn't have to put any story beats in it. Because if you're writing for television, like a half-hour sitcom, there's what's called story beats.
Right.
Where you have to so many pages have a nice ending to where they can come in with a commercial. And most sitcom screenplays are 22 pages because they have to allow that the other time in the half hour for commercials.
Right.
Like a 1 hour.
May I interrupt?
Sure.
Are you a writer?
Yes.
My name is Jerry Carroll.
Hi.
I've got an idea for a show.
How often does this happen to you? No, you got to get in camera, hon.
A lot of times it happens quite often. Okay.
My family's in the business though too.
Are they?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, out in LA.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, but I'd like to write it with somebody.
Yeah.
You know, but it's
Is
kind
it
of a.
film, or you want to write for film, or is it television? Or?
Well, I have a couple ideas.
Yeah.
I've got like 3 ideas, but I don't know. Give me a buzz.
Sure.
What do you write?
I'm actually television.
Okay.
Writing for television right now.
I've got an idea for a show.
Yeah.
You want to share it? Hey, share it with my audience.
No,
Oh, goodbye.
I've already shared it with too many people. I've been told not to tell anybody. By my family.
Here's the thing that you need to know about that. One thing about being a writer, and I get this all the time, is that they're like, I don't want to tell you my idea. I'm like, then you're never going to make it. You are never going to make it if you don't tell me. I'm not going to steal your idea. I have my own ideas.
Oh,
That's
no, I'll
the
tell
thing.
you.
You know what I mean? Well, what I'm saying is, share it with as many people as you can, because then you find out if it's a good idea.
Well,
My family is in Hollywood,
Right.
and they all work in the business. And my brother-in-law is one of the biggest second unit directors. He
Right.
started that genre,
Yeah.
and his brother is actually my age, is younger.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "Don't tell anyone. It'll be on TV before you know it."
You know what? It doesn't matter whatever idea you come up with. 10 more people right now have that same idea, and you.
Oh no, I believe it.
You know.
I do believe it. Yeah. So yours has to be unique.
Yeah, it basically and it goes back to. And I'm gonna say the Bible. I'm not a religious person, but
Spiritual.
But I'm not. No, I'm an atheist.
This
But
Sure.
godless
no,
bastard.
Yeah. I have no problem with the belief in God. If you want to believe in God, that's fine. I just have a different way of looking at the world. It's that simple. Let's not get into
Yeah, let's not, because
Like
no.
law of
yeah.
attraction.
But that's the one
Something.
book where every story that's ever been told has been told in that book. It's
No, I
you know,
agree.
brother against
Yeah.
brother, father against son, you know, all of that.
Right.
You know. And there's every parable available. It's all been told before. So
Right,
what we need to do is like a good friend of mine, my daughter interviewed Adam Glass yesterday. He's the executive producer of Supernatural.
Okay, I
And he
recognize
wrote for The
him.
Cleaner, and he's a friend of mine. He said it. What we do is we write those same stories, but we write them for our generation.
Right.
So basically, it's our take on what that story means to us.
Right.
So,
Right.
you know, every story's been told.
This is, you know, it kind of requires somebody to have, I don't know, to call me.
Okay.
You know, you'll see. Tell me what you think.
Sure.
Have a great one.
And your name is?
Anthony.
Anthony. Nice to meet you.
Nice to
Thank
meet you.
you.
So anyway,
I think she sat there for a minute working up the courage.
she was
to go
probably
over
thinking,
here.
yeah. No, I was wondering why she was sitting there in her car. I'm thinking,
But I'll give her a call. I'll listen to what she has to say.
yeah, why not?
You know.
Okay, so let's get back to the scripts on Kindle.
Right.
You've put them up for $1 for the most part, just as for educational purposes.
Right. Basically, because you can find screenplays out there.
Yeah.
You know, feature screenplays. There, you can find those and you can read those and get an idea for the structure and the tone and beats and things like that. But I found out that there aren't a lot of television scripts out there. You know,
Okay.
so, and mine aren't just, you know, I also included what's called the pitch Bible at the beginning of them. Basically, what it is the story concept,
Right.
the idea for the story. You break it down, and basically you give an explanation of what the story is about. Then there's all the main characters that are going to be in the show. You basically describe then the tone of the show, what the show means, and where the show is going to go, so that when you hand that over to a development executive, they can look at that and go, okay, everything is there. That rarely leaves any questions. And then I also write the pilot myself, because right now, especially for television, it used to be you'd have to write a spec for an existing show.
Right.
You know, like back in the day, like when Cheers was on, or you know, the people are like, here's my episode of Cheers, and that could get you a gig in a writer's room on a television show.
Right.
You know, that's all starting to change because agents and managers can't sell that script.
Right.
And the studio's not going to buy your spec script for their show. They already have writers that write that show.
Right.
Basically, it's to show you that you could write.
Right.
And you know, taking the opportunity, they could, you know, maybe freelance you or give you or bring you in at, you know, at the bottom rung until you work up to like staff writer.
Right.
Like that.
Right.
But now it's like they want original ideas. They want to see original pilots.
Right.
because that's your voice, and if it's something new, not only can that also get you a job on a show in a writer's room if the tone, the way you write fits another show, but they can sell it.
Right.
It's kinda like we can make money off of it if we think it's good enough. You know.
Okay, so I just want to narrow this down a little bit because we're running out of time here. The in order to read a script, I love reading scripts, by the way, and I think you know that.
Yeah.
But one of the things that people need to know is basically a basic key function. Like, for example, you need to know that when you read a script, there's certain little abbreviations.
Yeah.
Exterior, interior.
Right.
You know, most of it's common sense.
Right.
But I think it kind of throws people, at least at first.
Yeah, it takes some getting used to. It's not like reading a book, but it's just as much fun to read, and you get a better, you know, and the pacing's a little faster because you have to be more brief with your descriptions and things
Right,
like that.
right.
So basically, it'll say int, just int, which
INT.
is interior, ext,
Interior of a building would be INT.
INT or ext, which would be outside. obviously.
Outside, right? Exterior.
And then you have your little, you know, description, and then
Right.
you have your action underneath that, and then
You like cut to, which is a camera
cut to-
move.
Well, cut to basically means you're changing locations.
Okay,
You're
cutting
changing
from
this-
one scene to the next scene.
changing to a whole different scene.
Right.
It might be the same characters might be in that scene, but it's a whole different
Right.
location. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's
But for the most part, if somebody really just looks and thinks about it, it's
Yeah.
pretty commonsensical.
you can pretty much skip the cut tos because you have, you know, scene headings over everyone to show you
Right.
you're in different
Okay. So now you're gonna have two scripts. By the way, everybody, the info will be in the info box. the links will be in the info box is what I was going for. The first one will be which?
The first one up is Punch.
Punched.
There's one up there now, but I'm going to take it down because I actually reformatted it.
Okay.
And now it reads more like a screenplay on the Kindle itself.
Okay.
Because as it was left justifying everything, and it was still readable, but
Right. But just
didn't
not
have
in
that.
format. Right.
Yeah, just not-
So now, and the second one's called what?
The Possessor,
The Possessor.
Yeah.
Okay, and they're both
television pilots.
television pilots.
And I included the pitch Bible with both.
Okay. Okay.
And if I do well enough with these, I actually have a feature spec that I wrote called The Go-Getter that I'll probably put up.
Okay.
too.
Awesome. All right. Well, let's go ahead and end this here. If anybody has any questions for Anthony, I'll actually put a link to. He and I actually have a channel together called
Laid Back and Angry.
Laid Back and Angry. Now, who's laid back?
That would be you.
That would be me. And who's angry? Yeah, there you go. Yeah, leave any messages you have for him or questions you have for him over on that. I might mirror this video over on that channel also.
And I apologize for not uploading any videos, but right now it's pilot season. Development and pitch season is coming up. And so I need to write at least 4 more shows so that when it comes time for me to fly out to LA and start pitching my shows,
Right.
I'll have something to pitch.
And maybe we'll do other videos in the future about how to pitch a show and
Sure.
things like that. So anyway, this is it's probably the longest video I've ever made. But that's all I got for you, everybody. I'll see you later.